This is the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show here on the New Horizon Radio. In association with Haversley, experts in the sale of lettings, estate agency and block management businesses. If you're thinking of selling now or in the next 5 years, get in touch. They're a friendly bunch at haversleygroup.com.
Welcome to the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show here on the New Horizon. And today I'm a vision in yellow. And last week I was talking about yellow being colour of the season. And I thought because today is so hot, I would reflect being a little ray of sunshine. A little bit about me. I wanted to be a counsellor when I was younger, but discovered personal styling instead. It's easier, but not always. I also came to the UK when I was 21, despite knowing absolutely nobody. And today I'm going to be reviewing Girl on a Train and The Utterly Bonkers Bat Out of Hell, which is on at Milton Keynes Theatre. I'm reviewing the Facebook whistleblower memoir from Sarah Wynne Williams and Working with Waterstones. I'm also talking size acceptance. And last week I went on a menopause workshop with Elsa from the Olive Collective, amazing Elsa, and we talked about lymphatic drainage. And just for the purposes of people listening on the radio, my arm is up and you need to be doing this, so scrubbing like this to get your circulation going. So that was a really, really helpful little tip. So my week thus far, 2 theatre trips, 3 meals out. I'm surprised I've got a waistline. Some challenging clients, a trip to George Michael's hometown of Goring. And next week I'm going to be doing a floral workshop with Caris Botanical. I've got a massive dentist appointment, which I'm dreading. Choosing toxicity over having my own way at the gym, and a trip to my bestie in Yorkshire and my Upstyle event. And I'm working with Waterstones, talking Careless People, a story of where I used to work, power, greed and madness. Sarah Wynne Williams, the Facebook memoir. So it's a shocking and darkly funny story of one woman at the heart of one of the most influential companies on the planet. Careless People gives you a front row seat to the decisions that have shaped world events in recent decades and the people who made them. There's a shark on there, so that alludes to obviously how she says how difficult her time was there, but also she was attacked by a shark when she was very young. So she's lifting the lid on what she says really went on. And I say getting this book published has been very difficult. It was sort of it was very difficult to get it published both here and in the US because of NDAs and all that sort of thing. So the fact that it's out and doing really well is great for her, not so good for Facebook. But so according to the book, she said Mark Zuckerberg is a giant man baby. He wanted the president of China to name his baby, not the president of China's baby, but Mark Zuckerberg wanted him to name his baby. He was sort of getting into bed with the Russians, and she says obviously complicit in getting Trump to power in 2016. She also states that Sheryl Sandberg, who's the chief operating officer, would pretty much very strongly want people to get into bed with her and sleep with her on her private jet. It's all very, very strange. And when Williams was off on maternity leave, the second time she nearly died having her baby, she was disciplined for not giving enough work dates, and her response was, well, to be fair, I was nearly in a coma. So the way she was treated was just absolutely appalling, according to her, according to the book. As I say, it is a really, really interesting read. Yeah, as I say, if you want to know what goes on, you know, what she says went on in Facebook, this is a really interesting read. This is Careless People, Sarah Wynne Williams, available at Waterstones, Milton Keynes. And 2 trips to Milton Keynes Theatre in the last couple of weeks. Last week I saw the really excellent Girl on a Train, which was based on the novel by Paula Hawkins, starring Emily Blunt, which is it was a big movie, one of the first of its kind, with sort of Gone Girl, that domestic noir, and really interesting about Rachel Watson, who is this slightly unhinged woman who is living alone, and she's been left by her husband, and she's drinking too heavily, and she's going to work every day. She's also stalking her ex-husband and his wife, but on the train going to work every day, she sees this couple and she becomes fixated on them and starts fantasizing about them and thinking that she knows them, and she gives them names, etc. So it's all a little bit sort of weird, but she's kind of living in this crazy little world of hers, very isolated, and she's very lonely and very bitter. And then something happens that is quite shocking, and she gets sort of dragged into a murder, and yeah, it's very gripping. And I had seen it before, but because as I say, I have a memory of a goldfish, I don't remember the ending. So that's always good with a thriller. But I have to say, I was a little bit skeptical about the Laura Whitmore casting, because I thought all I knew was that she had been a presenter on Love Island, and she's obviously been on MTV, and so it just was very, very glamorous. So I thought it was maybe a celebrity casting, but I had to eat a large slice of humble pie, because she is trained. She's a proper. She's done proper drama school. She's done a stint at RADA, and she really, really knows her onions. She is a fantastic actress, actually, and she's on stage the whole time, utterly captivating. And not once did I sort of, sometimes if you're watching someone who's incredibly well known, you sort of think of them as they're on the telly, but not once did she sort of slip out of character, and she was totally believable as Rachel, who was, as I say, very unhinged and living with this dark secret. But Girl on a Train is excellent. It is touring the country, but I saw it at Milton Keynes Theatre, and I was also lucky enough this week to see Bad Out of Hell, which is on at Milton Keynes Theatre for a 2-week stint, actually, till the 28th of June. Bad Out of Hell, oh my goodness. Utterly bonkers, batty, and unbelievable. I have seen it before. It's 20, I think it's about 20 songs of Meatloaf's greatest hits. Incredible. I'd forgotten how many of his songs there are that I love. I didn't love the actual show. I thought it was kind of a bit dystopian. It had shades of sort of We Will Rock You and Rocky Horror, so little, and very dystopian, which is not my vibe, very dark. But I have to say, the vocals are the best of any show I have ever seen, hands down. Glenn Adamson as Strat, who's the lead character, and the story is loosely based on Peter Pan, the Lost Boys. He's sort of Peter Pan, as I say, and they are his tribe are called the Lost. I didn't know what was going on, if I'm honest, until after interval, and I thought, oh, this is starting to make sense. But he's a phenomenal vocalist, and I have to say the entire cast are absolutely outstanding with the vocals. So if you love Meatloaf songs, you'll absolutely love Bad Out of Hell. As I say, it's on at Milton Keynes Theatre till the 28th of June. And for me, the best part of the evening was I got to sit on top of a Harley Davidson, so that was super exciting. I wanted to talk now about sizing, and we did talk about this last week with the Upstyle girls. Sizing is a really contentious issue for most women, and I get it myself. I really do. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt over and over and over again. But I've really struggled. I struggled with some clients lately who are really struggling to sort of admit that they are a particular size. And what I'm trying to say to them is, it doesn't matter. Nobody is looking at the label. And I think the leap from 14 to 16 feels huge, because this time last year I was a 16, and I remember feeling incredibly reluctant to go from a 14 to a 16. It just felt really uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable. But what I'm trying to say to my ladies is, it really doesn't matter. And once I'd accepted I was a 16, that was fine, because my clothes were comfortable. So there is literally no point squeezing yourself into clothes that are too small for you. Nobody's looking at the label. Nobody knows what size you are. So, and there is no such thing as a standard size. And I know I keep banging on and on and on about this, but literally within a brand, you can be 2 different sizes. And it makes shopping very difficult, which is why I have a job, but as I say, the lack of consistency in sizing or standardization is incredibly frustrating. So I would sort of say, please don't look at the label, go into the fitting room, take 3 different sizes in, because that's what you might be. And it's no, it's no reflection on you if you have to go up a size. It's so much better and so much more comfortable to actually wear the clothes that fit you. And a sausage and a skin look is really, really not a good look. So as I say, taking the leap from a 14 to a 16 or 16 to 18, I understand, because I've been anything from a 10 to an 18 and anything in between. And I understand, I really, really do. But please, ladies, let's not be judging ourselves on the size of our clothes, because we are so much more than the size that we are. And people who our friends and our family love us, they don't care what size we are, and it's so much more comfortable, so much more flattering to wear something that actually fits you. And once you've put it on and it's fitting you, you're not going to think about, oh my goodness, I'm wearing a size 18 or whatever, because it really, really doesn't matter. I mean, this dress is a 12, and to be honest with you, it's feeling snug under the armpits, but I've had this dress for 4 years. I might not keep it, I don't know, but I mean, I've got 10s and I've got 14s in my wardrobe, and it does vary. And if your clothes are not bringing you joy, that's what I do as well, as a wardrobe weed. Come in and help you go through your wardrobe, because we only wear 20% of our clothes 80% of the time. So get rid of the clothes that don't fit. It's okay, no shame, get rid. I'll take them to the charity shop. If they're good clothes, pop them on Vinted. It's such an easy way to get rid of the clothes that are not bringing you joy and making you feel panicked every time you open your wardrobe. And talking about, obviously we've got our event on the 27th of June at the wonderful Upstyle, which is coming up next week. I think there's only 2 or 3 places left. And as I said to the girls last week, Caroline and Michaela, what's brilliant about their shop is it's one size. So if you're really hung up about sizing, this is a really great opportunity to come to our wardrobes and wellbeing event. As I say, on the 27th of June, as I say, a couple more tickets, but they have the most wonderful array of colours and clothes. And as I say, one size fits all. So this is perfect if you're sort of freaking out about sort of going up a size. So do join us for wardrobes and wellbeing. And as I say, you are so much more than the size you are. Welcome to the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show here on the New Horizon Radio, and I'm delighted to be joined by David Pibworth, who is based in Olney, or Oney if you're really posh, near Milton Keynes. David is a highly experienced actor, but both on stage and screen, plus a successful theatre director and producer, having produced shows for comedians including Norman Wisdom, Al Murray, Joe Pasquale and Jimmy Tarbuck. A very warm welcome.
Yeah.
Very, very warm, literally in every sense of the word.
Warm,
yes, yeah. I mean, I think it's 31 degrees today. So it was lovely to see you again. It's been quite a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, I did one with you a little while back, didn't I?
Yeah, pre-lockdown actually.
Yeah,
yes.
It was a long time ago.
Yes. But it's really good to have you back on the airwaves, talking about the Archers Theatre and all the wonderful things that you do to bring joy and humour.
Joy and happiness.
You do indeed. So, first of all, in 2003, you set up Milton Keynes Theatre of Comedy, which was, in my opinion, the best thing you ever did.
Oh,
because
right.
it's the comedy nights are insanely brilliant.
Yeah, we're still running.
Whose turn is it?
Whose turn we do? I'm not so involved occasionally on that one, but Steve Clark, my colleague, Steve Clark and David Lovesley, we sort of set it up together. I set it up initially, and then they came in quite quickly, and we found our way. Just doing the name's on the tin, isn't it? Comedy. And in fact, in December, we're doing the Christmas special of Vicar of Dibley and Porridge Christmas special. So they're 2 45-minute ones done on the same night. So it's still running. The comedy nights are there. What was it? The British Empire we put on recently. Still going strong with a team, good team.
So it seems like a really good team, and you have some brilliant comedians who've been working with you for a very long time. And it's a highlight of my year, 2 highlights of the year, because you generally do 2. But I always say I need to take my tenor lady with me. Sorry, I'm oversharing there, but they're genuinely hysterical. I mean, so funny. I mean, for me, making people laugh is the most difficult, but the best gift of all.
Yeah, me and Steve Clark and David Lovesley wrote the second stage play of LOLO, which is now represented in London, and so we sat down. The discussions we have when writing comedy, it's quite funny. But I used to know Galton and Simpson, who wrote Steptoe Son, and they used to say, yeah, we bickered occasionally.
Just a bit.
But they didn't ever fall out. They just, you're writing comedy, and some people think some things are funny and others, well, that's not so funny. And then, because there's 3 of us, we have a vote. Well, should we keep that in? And then it'll always be 2-1 or whatever. So it's great. It's great. Yeah, I very much enjoy working with the Milton Keynes Theatre Comedy. It's good.
And it is wonderful. And as I say, what I love about it, and what I love about, the Archers and Milton Keynes Theatre of Comedy is it's so affordable, because we've talked about mainstream theatre being unaffordable. It's out of reach for most people. If you want to go to London and see a show, you pretty much have to sell a kidney now, don't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, it is something that we discuss quite a lot, and with all of us, MK Talk and the Archers Theatre. I discuss it with Nikki again. There's a team there, and it's quite an important thing, to be able to get people in there to the Archers, and so they can afford it. And some of the things are family, so we make the tickets like Peter Rabbit, make them cheaper, but and we sort of push the point you can drive right down there, bring all your food and drink and all that sort of stuff. But the affordability is big on the agenda, because we want everyone to come in,
And it should be. It's about accessibility, because a lot of people are really struggling. The cost of living is just astronomical, and for you to bring theatre, on the doorstep in Milton Keynes, and it's so affordable, and there's so much variety is such a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
I'm talking to David Pibworth, who is the founder of the Archers Theatre and Milton Keynes Theatre of Comedy, and you've got lots and lots of events coming up the Archers in the summer. It's such an exciting lineup, isn't it?
Yeah, we have. We've got the two starting the 1st and 2nd of August is the Supersonic Queen, who's the Queen tribute act, and they're great. They were here last year. And backed by popular demand. So many people were asking because the Freddie Mercury was absolutely brilliant, very charismatic. Came off the stage into the audience and all that sort of stuff. So we set the big stage up for that. And then on the 2nd, it's definitely might be Oasis, because I sort of thought, well, they're on tour. Because the night that they're playing ours, the tribute band, the real Oasis are playing at Wembley that night, so our tickets will be better priced.
Yes, they will. That absolutely. Yeah, great timing. Actually, I mean, I'm really not an Oasis fan, but the ticket prices are absolutely ridiculous. I mean, Beyonce played London last week and at Tottenham, and a lot of the seats were empty because I think the tickets were going for up to £1,000.
Yeah,
it's just insane.
I know. It's like I want sort of years back when I wanted to see the Rolling Stones. I did see them years ago, but. And then suddenly the tickets, I just thought, oh no, I think I'll listen. To the records.
Yeah, absolutely. And you saved your eardrums as well. But the Queen one sounds really good fun.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
They're really good. Good.
Fantastic. And then you've got, this is one I'm quite interested in. On the 8th of August, you've got the Jack the Ripper.
Jack the Ripper. He came last year and did a Sherlock Holmes thing. And I wasn't sure. Well, I wasn't sure. He's a storyteller. We took the chance, and he came in and did this. He's one bloke, and he does all these characters and it was very good. I think it was the Hound of the Baskervilles or something. And he's just on his own doing all these characters, and then he does lots of shows. But he said, well, "What one do you want?" I thought, Jack the Ripper, truly Jack the Ripper, the story of Jack the Ripper, which is actually quite interesting. I know the area of London. I mean, it's changed now, but Whitechapel I knew quite well, and so I sort of knew the story and the places that these terrible murders had occurred. All changed now. It's quite a nice area.
Very gentrified now, probably.
Yeah. There's Mitre Square still there where one of the murders happened, but it's a lovely looking square now, and you can sit there and have a cup of coffee. But I took my daughter there once and showed her around the spots, and she said, it's not like I imagined. I said, well, no, the days of Oliver have sort of gone. But so I was interested enough, and I think he will do it well. And also, it's not educational, I would say, but it's slightly educational, because I think everyone's heard the name Jack the Ripper, but very few people, unless they're into crime, have sort of quite know what happened. He was never caught. We assume it was he. So I thought, he's good, and he's also a good charismatic performer. So that's Jack the Ripper.
That sounds brilliant. And as you say, there were so many theories as well. To, was he a surgeon? Yeah. Was he a Freemason?
Was he royalty? Yes,
I know,
because he wore a deerstalker hat. So.
Very interesting.
But if you read, I've read quite a lot about it.
Yes, me too.
But there's a mystery, and the mystery is because, of course, no one knows, or indeed will ever know.
Oh, fascinating. And then you've also got Robin Hood and Sense and Sensibility, so that sounds a bit of fun.
Yeah. Dot Productions, they come every year and do two. What they do is, because there's also the day before that, there's A Midsummer Night's Dream and Frankenstein.
That's so random. What a combination.
But they're the British Touring Shakespeare Company. Again, they've been here before. They're great. And those two groups are quite similar. They come in and do one show in the afternoon, in that case, A Midsummer Night's Dream, and then there's a break of an hour or two between shows, and they sort of turn the set round and do Frankenstein, or in the case of the next day, Robin Hood, really for the children or youngsters, and then the set sort of changed, and then Sunday Sense and Sensibility. So they love it because they're all the same actors playing very different roles. One like Robin Hood for the children, and then Sense and Sensibility, which is classic. So that really on the 9th and 10th of August there's 4 different shows, all very different, back to back, Saturday and Sunday, I think those are. They're great, and they're good people. A lot of people who come back, we've worked with them, we know them, they know us. We've got the financial agreement, everyone's happy because everyone's got to make out of it. And we put all the generators. We have to take everything down there, loos, generators, all that sort of thing, because it's just in a field.
It is
Under the arches.
Under the arches, and it is wonderful. I've been to many events there, and it is just such a lovely thing to do. It is got that proms in the park feel, and weather permitting, it's such a lovely evening. Actually, I mean, I've been to an ABBA tribute band. I've seen Hello Hello, which was absolutely hysterical, and many more. But it is such a brilliant. A brilliant little venue, and I say unless you know about it, you don't know about it.
Hello, we did in the lockdown, didn't we?
Yes,
because we could socially distance people in the audience, so we kept going through it was pretty tough times on everyone, including us, but we could, so many people enjoyed coming. One, because they wanted to get out, and two, it was Hello, so it's David Lovesley playing. Ready as always.
It was brilliant. It really was, and as you say, for people like yourself, who are a performer and a producer, you missed it. For me, for people who love watching theatre, live theatre, missed it so terribly, and it was just wonderful. Obviously hilarious, great cast as always, but it was just wonderful to be out. It cheered
everyone up, didn't it?
Pardon?
That thing cheered everyone up.
It really
people
did.
Leaving that we were chatting to saying, "Oh, it's been great." They've been cooped up, and then suddenly they're out in the wilds again under the old railway arches. I think it was great. I mean, my only sort of policy in life, when people sort of say, I said, I don't get too deep about it. All I try and do is put stuff on that make people a bit happier than perhaps they were when they came in.
Absolutely. Well, you absolutely more than do that, David. You really, really do. Where I'm talking to David Pibworth, and we're talking about what's coming up at the Arches Theatre in the summer. So we've got quite a few to go still.
Yeah, we've got all the music ones, and then as we talked about, Ripper, Frankenstein, Midsummer Night's Dream, Robin Hood, Sense and Sensibility, Peter Rabbit.
That's going to be so cute.
Which is an afternoon one. It's Laugh Out Loud at LOL Theatre Company, who I haven't worked with before, but I'd sort of kept an eye on them, and they tour. They're mainly children's stuff, and so there was something. So they're coming in, but they're very good because I've seen them on the videos and all that. Again, it's a children's one, and then there's a thing called there's a Comedy of Errors and 39 Steps. 39 Steps we did 2 years ago, but I think this will be a slightly smaller version of it. The Shakespeare Circus are doing that, and then Duets, which is a new theatre company local Bedfordshire to us, who I know them all. I know Charlotte Pask, who you may or may not know, and Tim Jackson-Waite. I've worked with all of those people, and they've set up a new company, and they're putting on duets. So we've got a whole raft of things. Do I do the www?
You can do it now. We'll do it at the end as well.
Okay. thearchestheatre.co.uk, and Nikki, our lovely PR lady, who's standing outside the studio at the moment.
She is indeed. We couldn't entice her into this hot box. I don't know why. I can't think why.
It save you a sauna.
Yeah.
But she does all the social media and puts all the stuff out. So keep an eye on social media. We're out there, and we're very contactable.
You are indeed. But I love the fact that there's so much variety, and the Peter Rabbit thing just sounds too cute. I mean, I love Beatrix Potter. My favourite books growing up. Then graduated to Enid Blyton, but just that sort of nostalgia, and it'd be lovely for the kids. It'd be really, really lovely as well. And again, as you say, you've got so much variety there, so something for everybody, and super, super affordable.
Do you remember that joke? What do you call a lady who juggles while drinking beer and playing snooker?
No.
Beatrix Potter.
I don't get that. Am I being thick?
You do, don't you, Chris?
I'll have to think about
tricks.
Oh, yes, I get it. Yes,
no,
okay.
Snooker, Potter. Okay.
Very good.
Well, I'm
very
sorry
good.
about that.
No, the fact that you had to explain it was kind of lost on me, actually, so apologies for that. That's lost in translation with
me. It's always quite fun when someone doesn't get a joke.
A bit slow in the uptake. So talking about making people laugh or making people gasp, you're a bit of a magician as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I am.
Do you want to show us some of your magic tricks?
Yeah, am I on camera, Christopher?
You are indeed. Oh my God.
Boo, I'm off camera now. Boo. Oh, I've done it twice. I'll do a couple of quick ones, very quick ones then. No. So you can see the cards here, everyone. You can see these cards.
Do 2 of clubs, yes.
2 of clubs or whatever. There's all sorts. There's all Queen of Hearts and all sorts of things. Anyway, if I make you the audience, I'll make your minds go blank, and all the cards have gone blank. Look. And it's not a figment of your imagination. I didn't swap the cards.
No, you didn't, because
or
he's sitting right
anything.
here.
No, I hadn't moved. And then I go, and they're back to normal.
That's insane.
Back to normal. There we go. So that's it. And then the last one, because everyone likes this one. My daughter used to like it. She's too old to like things like that now. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in there.
Red hanky inserted.
Red hanky.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, there's the camera.
Yes. For the purposes of radio.
For the purposes of radio, I won't do my ventriloquist act. And it's gone. It's gone.
Where the hell did that go?
It's gone into my ear.
That's mad.
So I do all that sort of stuff.
That's so fun.
Yeah, I did. I used to do it in pantomime when I worked in pantomime.
You had a tooth one. We need to see the tooth one.
Oh, you want to see the tooth
yes,
one?
I do. I'm like a child. Show me.
Okay, then move it. All the magic tricks I worked out, and then my daughter and her mate said, "Hey, Esther, can you get your dad to do the tooth trick? Can you see it like?" And it's back. And you, ladies and gentlemen, when you're old and your teeth fall out, will be able to do that.
Oh, I look forward to that. And for the purposes of radio, David had a full set of teeth, and then one was missing, and then one was back again. So, yes, it is much better on video, but magic is obviously a very visual thing.
Oh, yes, of course. So some people won't be watching this, will they?
Most people, well, but I think it varies. We have people who like to listen, who are old school like radio, and then maybe the
Perhaps
different
people
demographic
who
love
might think, oh, let's watch it on the
podcast. Yes,
podcast.
Yeah.
But anyway,
everyone loves. I think people fall into two camps. I think you either old school radio or you love a podcast.
I quite listening to stuff when I'm in the car.
Yeah,
I quite like listening.
I love the radio. I love the company. I love the music and the chat. But I love a podcast. I'm just addicted to podcasts, and there's so many brilliant podcasts out here, including my own. If I say so myself.
Absolutely.
No, I'm joking, but I love what I do, and it's wonderful that we've got two choices. You know, we have a radio show.
And
we
it's
have
great.
a podcast.
Yeah.
So I digress. We will come back and chat a little bit more about why you got into comedy. Welcome back to the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show here on the New Horizon Radio, where I'm talking to David Pibworth of the Archers Theatre. And we've talked about the amazing programme coming up, and I've gone completely blank, a bit like your cards earlier. What was I going to say? What were we going to talk? What makes you laugh? How did you get into comedy?
Well, I've always liked comedy. From when I was younger, I watched a lot of comedy, as did my mum and dad and brother, or my dad and brother in particular. Brought up with the Likely Lads and Porridge and Only Fools and Horses, which came along slightly later, One Foot in the Grave, and all that sort of stuff. And there was very few comedies that I really liked, cleverly written comedy, which I would class Porridge and Fawlty Towers, of course, and all that sort of thing. So later on, when I'd done some writing, I sort of got put on, I can't quite remember how it happened now, to the production team with Norman Wisdom, who was getting old then, but he was well known. And so I ended up producing a show that he was on the stage, that it was a sort of big charity thing initially, and then I worked a bit with him, and I liked him, but I get on with most people. There aren't many people there are a few, but I wouldn't mention them. But
I'm intrigued.
And then not many. And then after that, once you've worked with someone like that, then somehow or other you get sort of credibility for no reason other than you can run things all right. And so later on there was a few. I used to work with a jazz group called Kenny Ball and his Jazzmen, who you wouldn't know of because they're so old. They were before the Beatles, but the Beatles sort of knocked all this trad jazz out of the way. But
thank God.
Kenny Ball and his Jazzmen and all that lot, Ackerbilk and all that lot, we used to produce shows with them. But they were very, very funny people. So meeting, and then Joe Pasquale, I did a show of his, who I liked.
Isn't he lovely? He's such a lovely man.
But he's just, what you see is what you get, really, I think, with Joe. I didn't get to know him particularly well, because when you work with people, you often, you get on really well, and then they move on, and you move on. Al Murray, pub landlord, who actually is very different off stage, of course, because he's quite a belligerent act, but off stage he's delightful.
He is, absolutely. I met him as well.
He's very sort of quite a liberal
yeah.
sort of minded bloke, and historian and all that, because he was Oxford, wasn't he? And so there's a few people I've bumped into, but I very much like them all. But the people who they all impress me. But I worked with Galton and Simpson, who wrote Steptoe and Son and Hancock's Half Hour, and I worked with them laterally because I adapted the scripts to the stage, which has held us in good stead, actually. And they were lovely people. They've written all this stuff, and they were very laid back and sort of self-educated South London men. And I learnt a lot listening to them, where they picked up ideas, which was often listening to people. And they've written all those shows. And then Dick Clement and Ian Lefrene, I got the rights to put Porridge on, and I met them. And again, the writers tend to be lovely people who are quite pleased that you're still putting their stuff on. I mean, Dick Clement and Ian Lefrene, and the same with Ran, that didn't need the money particularly. Dick and Ian live in America now, but I've met them when they come over here, and they're great fun. And then Michael Palin, we got Ripping Yarns from, who again is my
what
wife.
You see is what you get. Yes.
We had to go and do a thing in London with Michael Palin, and my wife, who doesn't like actors normally, I said doesn't like them, doesn't bother to be around them, said, right, I'm coming with you to do the thing because I want to meet Michael Palin. Is he? I said, yeah. So we went up, and he was absolutely charming. But then I think he's charming to everyone. So, so they're the sort of pitch moments of people that I've met. But I generally get along with everyone, and then you move on, and I'm pleased to see them if I bump into them again.
It's amazing, but your legacy, you must hopefully, and not necessarily look back like you're past it, because you're not. You've got so much to give. But in terms of your legacy of much, no, but it is a legacy. And I know we use that word. Sounds like you're an old person, which you're not. But you've brought so much joy to so many people's lives through. Probably more than you realise.
But legacies worry me, because you see people like Tony Blair. I mean, I'm not.
But that's a bad legacy. This is a good legacy.
No, I'm not saying anything about but politicians and Keir Starmer and no doubt Kemi Badenoch and all that lot. They want to leave a legacy. They're obsessed with leaving. And Donald Trump. What will my legacy be? But if they're thinking about their legacy,
exactly.
Well, why?
Exactly.
I mean, what's it matter? When you're dead, you're dead. And if people remember you fondly, marvellous. But I'm not obsessed with legacy. But I know what you mean. But my thing is, as long as everyone's happy and we all leave the world a bit of a happier place, then that's probably, that's good enough for me.
No, absolutely.
But I'm a bit shallow on these things.
But I think, I think it's very easy when you're in it and you've done all these amazing things to forget about what you've done. And as you say, people who want a legacy are quite self-serving probably. And
Some of them,
yes, not, but the fact is that's not a thing for you. It's not on your agenda. I'm saying that you have created so much joy and so much humour with so many people, more than you'll probably ever realise over the years. So take the compliment.
I will take the compliment. I'm curiously unnostalgic. Although I like the older I get a bit more nostalgic about things. But I'm curiously, revisiting places, and that isn't particularly. But as I'm getting older, I do look back a bit and think, oh, I did enjoy that, or I did enjoy that. But I've always been thinking about next week rather than last week, which to a degree, I'm 65 now, so I'm getting very old, and my knees are falling to pieces, and all that. But I can cope with that. I've had a good life. I've misused my body a bit through the years, so I'm quite happy where I am. I get a little bit more sort of like to see old friends now. I mean, close friends. And I think I ought to speak to him. I haven't spoken to him or her for a long time. And then suddenly, as you get to my age, suddenly like a friend of ours died a couple of days ago. She was a German lady. We got to know her well. I hadn't seen her for years. Thought she was a brilliant lady. I absolutely loved her. 66, and she said, my brother phoned me up and said she died. And I suddenly thought, I'd like to have had a chat with her. And I could have had a chat with her. So we should pick the phone up.
Yes, we should. Yeah, there was a thing on the radio the other day about the fact that, we spend loads of time scrolling, or we do voice notes, but we don't actually pick up the phone old school and ring people. So, yeah, if that person is on your mind, do it.
Go out for a drink with them.
Yeah, exactly. Let's be sociable. It's been so lovely, honestly, as always, having you on my show. How can we contact you on social media?
Right. I think we're on, is it Facebook?
Instagram, Facebook, all Archers Theatre, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all Archers
really
Theatre,
easy.
which Nikki runs. So we're very contactable. The website I've said before, but it's thearcherstheatre.co.uk. And if you look on the website, there's a phone number 07879 414110. But you can book all your tickets online. That's the thing, and that's the easiest way to do it. But if there are problems, it's there's a phone number to contact us. So, yeah, we're very contactable. Oh, I hope you all come to the Archers Theatre, and I hope the weather's as hot as it is today.
Absolutely. That's all we can pray for is great weather. Thank you, David, for being such a great guest.
Thank you.
Next week's guest is Monica Ferguson, who is the Chief Executive and Artistic Director of the Stables, and we'll be talking Milton Keynes International Festival. I've loved today's show. Although it's been very, very warm. And if you'd like to contact me, _NancyMK_ on Instagram, and I'll pop you on the waiting list if you'd like to be a guest. And as always, thank you for listening to my show and making it as joyful as it is today. Thank you.